representatives from both Nimitz High School and Irving High School today to present their cadets of the month, the last couple of months. So I'm going to start with Captain Trevor Smalls, who's from Lieutenant, excuse me, I'm in the Army, that's what. Anyway, sorry, I can't help myself. And then, so Lieutenant Smalls will introduce his cadets, and then Colonel Curtin will introduce his from Irving High School. So let me turn it over to Trevor. Here you go. So glad y'all here.
All right, good morning, everybody. Thank you all for having us here. It's part of our program.
So that the camera can see.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. I'm going to adjust.
So I just want to thank everybody for having us on here today. Part of our program, obviously, is to teach citizenship to our cadets, and it's huge when the community is actually bringing them out, so they can meet and learn things from leaders that they're going to be part of here shortly after they graduate. So thank you all for having us. So my two cadets that I have here, my first cadet right here is Andre Alvarado. She is an operations officer for the unit. I actually had the opportunity to commission her sister at Texas State this past summer. She's a second lieutenant in the Army. And now hopefully she'll be going on to do the Navy route and be going to Jacksonville University in Florida. And I'll be commissioning her, hopefully she'll ask me. And I'll be commissioning her to ensign in about 4 years. And my other cadet here is our commanding officer for the unit. She is awesome. I can tell you last year we had went to Daytona Nationals. She was the commander for that team that went there and became a second in the nation in our division. So she is a very, very special person. And she'll be going to UTA and in nursing. Okay. That's okay.
Well, I'm Sophia Martinez, and I plan to go to UTA. I'm really interested in all that have to be like with doctors and everything. So I'm just hoping to make it as well.
Thank you. Good.
Yes, and for me, just I'm planning on majoring in computer science. If not, then electrical.
Wonderful. Yeah. Awesome. Very good.
Afternoon, everyone. My name is Lieutenant Colonel Mike Curtin. I'm the instructor at Irving High School. And I'd like to introduce two of our overachievers here. Cadet Captain Vivian, Cadet Staff Sergeant, Pledge of Allegiance, Miss Platas. So anyway, I'll let them introduce themselves, but it was great for me because we had an assignment this week of turning in a battle study paper, and you wouldn't believe it. I had to read it. It's a pleasure spending lunch with great cadets like Nimitz and so there's hope. There's hope if you're the young people.
All right.
Good evening, everybody. Cadet Captain Gavidia, and I'm just very happy to be here. I actually had one cadet of the month last year once, but I was never brought here. So I'm happy that I'm getting this opportunity this year. I am a senior at Irving High School, so this is my last year in ROTC. I was planning on majoring in biomedical engineering. But instead I will be going to Weatherford and be working with machinery and coding because I also enjoy coding and so yes, so that's my plan for the future. I am very grateful for having joined ROTC because it has taught me a lot of leadership skills and many other skills. So yeah, I'm grateful to be here and being part of the program.
Very good.
Hello, I'm Cadet Staff Sergeant. I'm a sophomore at Irving, and I don't really have a lot of plans, but I think I want to do something to have my own business one day and get into a good college.
You play basketball too, right?
Yes, I play basketball. We actually have a game tomorrow.
All right. Go
All right,
Tigers.
thank you all.
Thank you all for being here today. We'll get a picture together after the meeting. And I just want to remind some of the cadets right here, some of the members. My name is Las Colinas. I myself, I'm Irving. Well, I came here when I was 13 years old, and I was part of the Irving High School JROTC program. Like the Nimitz team who got to go to Daytona for nationals, we got to go to Daytona for nationals too in 2002 with the Irving ROTC Marine Division is what we were. So we did the arm drill team competition up there, so it was a great experience. And again, I wouldn't have been able to go and explore another state at my age had it not been for the ROTC, and that was a great experience and just learning leadership skills. So if I was able to get to kind of where I'm at today, guys, you guys have a lot of hope. I still was learning English myself at your age, so still learning some today. We're gonna get the program started here in a second, but before that, we're gonna get some of the announcements out of the way, so our speakers can have more time towards the end and also do Q&A. Rick Lindsay had asked for some time to give a quick update on the kettle bell ringing program that we have going on right now.
Yes, I think at the time. If I could get Lieutenant Cody Johns to join me up here, tell us about your experience on Thanksgiving Day.
Oh man, Thanksgiving Day. So as most of y'all know, we the Dallas Cowboys did the National Red Kettle Kickoff, which the only part this year was the halftime show, which I thought was pretty good. But if you didn't get to see, if you're able to rewatch the show, if you look at someone who's holding the Texas flag, I was actually honored to hold the Texas flag and march onto the field. And be right behind the trumpet guy, and I was able to get 5 seconds on TV. My kid's like, "Dad, you're on TV." And I was like, "Wow, really?" So it was great. It was an amazing experience. It's amazing to see the Dallas Cowboys. This was the 28th or 29th year of the National Red Kettle Kickoff. So I know you're gonna start hearing more of those bells. So I know this is our biggest and largest fundraiser that we do. And I do want to share one thing. Next Saturday, put this on your calendar. Next Saturday, December 9th. We have a mayoral challenge between 3 mayors. We have Mayor Irving going to be ringing at the Walmart on North MacArthur. We're doing the Capel Mayor will be ringing at the Kroger on Sandy Lake, and then also the Mayor of South Lake will be ringing at a Hobby Lobby in South Lake, and they'll be all going against each other. And I'll be with the Mayor of Irving ringing with him, so we can bring home that title of the best place out of those 3.
What time? Where's
So is it, do what?
time and place?
So time is gonna be, it's all day, so it'll be from 10 to 6, so I'll be there with them the whole time. So come out, show your support, come take pictures, it's gonna be great, you get to see me, how I dance really well.
Whoa, all right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thank you, Lieutenant. I think Mayor announced yesterday, and some council members may be with him there all day. Give us a demo on ringing the bell. For the people that have never done it, come on, give us a little
We
demo.
did a little demo?
Yeah,
So you really, it's all about the cheerful spirit, you get the smile, and then you just get into it. You get into it, right? You just use I mean, it's all in the steps. That's the preview, so I want to see you on December 9th, and be ready.
All right, thank you. I was asked to work with Ed McCarty. I sent out an email to you Rotarians. That evening, I filled 4 Saturdays, 4 time slots with 2 people. Do the math. That's 32 volunteers. Outstanding. The next Saturday, we had a reindeer in a red suit. We had an elk in a red and green suit that has made it around the globe, being posted by the mayor himself. The response from you all has been outstanding. We have 2 past city councilmen who want to ring. Mr. Klein signed up today. Ivan's going to sign up today. The demand is still there, so we're not going to have just 2 ringers. We're going to have 3 ringers on Sunday, Mr. President. Oh,
I did not get to see the how you do the vote because I was over there.
Oh, can we? I think if it was TV.
one last thing. Kathy purchased this photo album next Thursday at Rotary, please come and please come dressed Christmas. We're gonna put together a photo album of all 32 teams. We're gonna put that together. We'll bring the book. You can sign it. And guess who we're gonna present it to? Ed McCarty, the guy that's kept this going so long. So, Dr. LeVar and, Jose and Richard went to see Ed the other morning to kick it off. Patty and Kathy went that afternoon. So we're keeping Ed very much in the loop. Mr. President, that concludes my comment.
Thank you, thank you. And again, don't forget to come support any of those dates. Rick Lindsay has all the dates that might be available. So you guys can come support if you guys are available. I know Kathy has a question and I know she has an announcement.
Cody, tell us again which Walmart?
So we're gonna be at the one on, it's Marketplace, North Marketplace, right off the 635. Yes. You can't miss it. There's gonna be a big group because I'm gonna be dancing really well. So just the other mayors better be ready because they're gonna be able to handle this. I don't know. So thank y'all for y'all's support and thank y'all for believing in the Salvation Army.
Great job, guys. Now we have Kathy with a special announcement.
Jose, you did not get to come to our flag ceremony, our celebration. It wasn't a ceremony. Oh, yes, Rick did the ceremony.
Yeah.
What was that?
It was wonderful.
We gotta move on.
TJ Friedel took a picture of the Millennium Fountain and had it framed and wanted you all to have one. We also have one for the Parks Department for Irving from TJ. Thank you very much. I'll give it.
Thank you, Kathy. And great job, everybody, on the flag program. One quick announcement before we get going. Robert wants to make a quick announcement real quick, and then we're gonna have our speaker come up front and get ready to learn Texas Ranger history.
Yes. Just wanted to let you know that I got this message earlier this week that Jordan Alsup and Clean Up USA has been nominated by the Texas County Homeless Coalition for a Community Champion Award. Next Thursday, we're gonna miss Rotary, sorry, but at the Botanical Gardens, we'll let you know whether he's going to be the recipient of that.
Great job, Jordan. Then I'll start with an idea and look where things are at now. So we commend Jordan for a great job and look forward to seeing all the things we're gonna do this year coming up. So keep up the good work. We're gonna have our speaker come up front. You guys got the bio in your email, but I'll just say just a little bit about Rodney Odom. He's an actual badge carrying Texas Ranger. He's gonna be speaking on the history of Texas Rangers. At 43 years old, I'll just leave it with the end of some of the lines that he wrote, and he's gonna fill things up. But he served on the Texas Rangers major crime scene team. As such, he's responded to multiple events such as the outlaw motorcycle shooting in Waco, the first shooting in Saddle Springs, and Dallas 5. After being promoted to lieutenant, he ran the regional SWAT team, SRT-1, and has been deployed to over 42 countries. Currently, he is over the CNU, or Crisis Negotiations Unit, and he deploys with his teams. He's deployed with his team to numerous barricades and hostage situations. I'll have him come up front and tell us more about it. But thank you for being here with us today.
My name is Jay. I've actually met several of y'all before. We had a little computers on here and that music wasn't right. So y'all bear with me. See if this works. Yes, sir. All right. So this is me. I appreciate y'all having me. J. Rodney Odom. I'm a Ranger Lieutenant at a company B. Garland. There's 6 companies in the state of Texas kind of strategically placed out. We'll get into that. All right, here we go. So some of the slides that you'll see today are from me, former guy, one of our former crime team guys, Ruby Flores. He's a sheriff, I think, in Palestine now. And then my former agent, Casper. Some of them are from the Ranger Hall of Fame and Museum that's located in Waco. If you haven't been there, please go. It's got 200 years of history throughout Texas, back when we were part of Mexico, up till today.
We'll just put it up when we do our Christmas tree, when we bring the
So
lights.
this is a little bit about me. I've got a Bachelor of Science in Biology.
I forgot about this
I've got a minor in chemistry. I spent 4.5 years in the Texas Highway Patrol, where we control the highways and byways of the great state of Texas. I was stationed in Collin County, Grayson County, and later Dallas County when I made 4. And at that point, I promoted to CID, which is our Criminal Investigations Division, or plainclothes detectives, if you will. At that point, I was shipped to El Paso, where I did gang work out there, and later transferred back to Garland. Got into the drug shooting. I spent 12 years on a U.S. Marshal Task Force.
30 days in November?
As a TFO.
Charles first?
Marshal Service, it's a federal agency.
What about that?
They basically have 2 branches of what they do. They do security for all the courts, the federal courts, and also the other side, which is what I did, was serve felony warrants. And so the worst of the worst, chasing guys down and gals down that don't want to be caught. I promoted into the Rangers in 2013, and then promoted to lieutenant in 2018. So this is kind of a blast from the past. This is kind of what the Texas Highway Patrol did on the left. That guy was actually a would-be bank robber out of Sherman. We got a call in about, and we located him. He had a rig and loaded pistol and everything, and had his license plates blacked out and all of his stickers and stuff on his truck. And this is me, obviously much younger over here on the right after I promoted to special agent there in El Paso. So on the far right, that's working with the Marshal Service, serving warrants. They at that point in time, they had a federal agent killed in Mexico. And so out there in El Paso, we were right across from the lights. And we serve every warrant, starting from the most egregious felony warrants all the way down to Class C traffic tickets.
Favorite
Just
guy.
kind of having local impact on that officer getting killed over there. This is a picture from a DME eradication, so that's domestic marijuana. All that green, all that is marijuana. Those were about 15, 16 feet tall. And we found it underneath a tree canopy in Mesquite. And so that's me on the bottom left of the water. So here's a picture outside of El Paso after I made Ranger. That's Reuben Mankin. He's the lieutenant here in Hearst on the left. That's me in the middle, and then that's Big Dave on the right. Big Dave is the team leader at this point in time over SRT-1. We'll get into that, and then Reuben was one of my centers. So this came out of a manual from Homer Garrison. He was one of our former colonels or directors, if you will, and he referred to the Rangers. They were men who would not be stampeded. Here's another deal I picked up. Meet the real reason people don't mess with Texas. That's Kyle Jones. He was stationed in Kerrville. Just look at his face. Scary guy. But he told someone at some point in time that if this 45 starts going off and people are still standing up, you better figure out what the problem was. So I'll get into a little bit of the history here. Stephen F. Austin, the father of Texas, in 1823 formed the Texas Rangers. So at that point in time, we were still a part of Mexico. So Texas Rangers began on August 5th, 1823, on the back of a proclamation issued by Commissioner Baron Bastrop. Austin wrote that he would employ 10 men to act as Rangers for the common defense, and the wages that he paid them would be $15 a month payable in property. So we're kind of starting at the very beginning where this is kind of a protect the whole front organization, and then we'll evolve to where we are today. So in 1836, Texas independence.
We're gonna keep going.
That's the Alamo there. On March 2nd, the Declaration of Independence was adopted. On March 6th, the Alamo fell. May 14th, Santa Ana was captured, signed a treaty, and was returned to Mexico. In 1845, Texas was annexed by the U.S. and became a state. Perfect. During 1865 to 1873, we were reorganized and called the state police. And through time, there's been kind of a roller coaster of the good and bad with the Rangers, depending upon who the government officials were at that point in time. So we started enforcing these unpopular carpetbagger laws, which were basically enforcing the laws on all the new settlers that were coming into the state trying to settle at that time. On May of 1874, we were organized into 6 companies, which is what we have today. And they were strategically placed across the state for that purpose. At that point in time, they were known as the Frontier Battalions and given status as peace officers. So this was huge for us. So we went from kind of the cowboy area, protecting everybody in here, to almost like a paramilitary organization. And now we're given status as peace officers, which means that we can now enforce state law, which is what we're currently doing. So this is a picture from one of the local oil boom towns. They had sent a bunch of rangers down there to keep law and order. A lot of times during those days, as soon as they'd strike oil, you'd have people come from everywhere and flood that area.
These boxes, want to keep, but
things that followed on with that. There was lots of big issues with local government. So we sent these guys down in the pack and go get it figured out.
Okay.
So Captain Bill McDonald, if y'all know anything really about the Rangers, one ride, one Ranger, known as the Ranger Creed. Back in the day, the story is there was a local town that had a ride, a rally, and the local law enforcement, I guess, there in that area was overrun, and basically phoned the governor's office and said, "Hey man, we need some help here. We can't keep doing this. We're about to lose control." And they were about to declare martial law. And so at that point in time, on a train, this gentleman is supposed to have showed up, and when they pulled back the door, he walks off the train. Everybody's like, "Hey man, where are the rest of the Rangers?" And he said, "Hey, you've only got one ride, correct?" Like, basically, I'm here.
We'll have to use that.
So 1935 to present date, that is known as the New Era. So in 1823, it's when the Rangers were established. In 1835, it's when the Texas Rangers began. So that's what we still are today. And if you think of the Texas DPS basically as an umbrella, the Ranger Division is a division within DPS, just like the Texas Highway Patrol, driver license, aircraft, labs, like that. So at that point in time,
did they at one time go to something else?
The commissions, the Texas Rangers appointed by the Ferguson administration. So just prior to this, Mom and Paul Ferguson basically ran the state government at that level. And they had come in and basically fired all the Rangers.
Really, this was
and hired their new ones, whoever they wanted to be.
But with very
essentially were run as a political pawn, enforcing whatever they saw fit. So after 1935, all that went away and never happened again. So 1935, there's I think 36 guys right here that were Rangers at that point in time. I like this little short cut. So today's Texas Rangers, you must have at least 8 years as a commissioned officer. And so basically, at least 4 of those 8 have to be as a commissioned officer, a gun toter with Texas DPS. Now you can do all 8 in DPS, or you can bring at least 4 from another agency before you hire on with the department. That being said, there's also written in a selection board. And so I think that DPS has roughly 3,500 commissioned officers in the state, which I believe is less than what DPD has. And so we're covering a lot of ground with not a lot of employees. Any given point in time, we typically have around 155 to 165, 66 Rangers. They keep it small. It's my understanding from what I've been told, if they make it much larger, the pool of great candidates wouldn't be the same. And so that also being said, the workload keeps getting larger by the day, and a few extras would be nice. So we're in the 6 companies we talked about, A through E, and those are the ones that we've said that were strategically spread across the state. Yes, we've got male and female. I've already been asked, are there any female Rangers? Yes, there are. There's not a lot. But we have the first major ranger ever. She's in Waco. We've got a staff captain in, let's see, she's in South Texas. And then I have a ranger that works for me, and she's got more experience than I've got. And they're anywhere from their early 30s to late 60s. We've got a gentleman, he was in Texas City, and I think he recently transferred to Jasper. He's the longest serving Texas Ranger to date, and he's got over 40 years commissioned as a Ranger, not just total DPS time. And in his 60s, his name is Joe Harrelson. In his 60s, he was actually put through the SRT trial, which is nothing you just decide you're going to go do, and was the SRT2 out of Houston team leader. And we've got anywhere from high school education to master's degree. Actually, we've got a doctor. We've had to station in urban and rural areas. So depending upon where you are in the state, kind of depends upon what kind of ranger that you're going to be. If you're in a huge, populated area, you may assist one of your local agencies that's a large agency with a piece of an investigation, where if you're working with a smaller agency, you may have to do it from start to finish. So all rangers are trained in crime scene investigation and everything, so they can do it from A to Z. So here are your six of the different companies. Obviously, we're in B up here on the top right.
Because of
42 counties here in North Texas.
More sounds, they'll go up there.
So the Rangers.
Some of those, a lot of it, if I get
We also
something
do
else,
corruption.
I'd like to move some of those out.
So also.
They're kind of heavy over there.
A huge part of what we do.
Old house is a little Santa heavy, I need to get rid of some Santas.
We work.
No.
And basically what happens for transparency purposes, anytime there's a police agency that's involved in a shooting, you'll typically, not always, but typically call us. And that way we can come in and investigate, because we don't work for them, and we typically don't have any knowledge of who they were involved in the shooting with. We do all kinds of different criminal investigations. Most of them are all violent crime, robberies, burglaries, homicides, kidnappings, bank robberies, stuff like that. So here's a picture from years ago, and so that's Trace McDonald there. He's retired now, but he's working an officer-involved shooting. He's got a local corporal out there at the Highway Patrol that's got I think it's a Sakia total station, and he's documenting the different pieces of evidence there at that scene. So here's just a kind of an example of what you may see. These different markers, the orange ones, the little triangles right here, are actually like documenting where the different blood stains or blood spatter is on the roadway. And these yellow different tints over here are documenting where the actual cartridge cases that came out of the firearm or projectiles landed. This was a local standoff that they had in Sherman. The gentleman up there with that M14 or whatever, he used to be my major. And then the gentleman down here with the AR, he was my first ranger out of McKinney. So a lot of times, obviously, when you start working these murder investigations, the people that commit these types of crimes don't want to be caught. And so sometimes, like this is an exhumation, they'll bury their victims or dismember them or set them on fire or whatever they can do to keep from being found out. And so it looks like they've got some of the probably local inmates out there doing the dig. And this is something like you would see once you start recovering different pieces of the actual remains there. So crime scene investigation, this is a shooting that me and Big Dave worked over in Kaufman County. Any type of murders or anything like that will be sent out there to document everything. A lot of your local agencies, especially here in the Metroplex, they've got their own crime scene teams, but a lot of agencies, especially the most the more rural ones, do not. And so we'll call out there, or they'll call us to go actually document the scene and start collecting evidence, and obviously we'll submit that respective evidence to our laboratories for testing. We also do dignitary protection for our governor, lieutenant governor, and attorney general. They've got their own EPD, which is the Executive Protection Detail, that's based out of Austin, where they are. And so they'll conduct that type of business when they're in the Austin area. However, when they say here Dallas or what have you, they'll call one of the Rangers and sometimes CID as well to actually come out because we're familiar with those respective areas. And so they'll send typically a body man or a driver that will bring him down, and then we'll pick him up. We'll go out days before and kind of explore different routes to take in case something were to happen. And then we'll go by and we'll vet all these different venues that they'll be visiting, find safe rooms and different things. And local hospitals will make contact with them just to make sure we can keep them safe and sound. So everybody always wants to know, hey man, what kind of guns do y'all get? And so this is some of the crime scene stuff. Now moving on to the equipment issue. So we've got different types of automobiles, a lot of the bosses and drive SUVs. Most of the working men and women will be in pickups. You'll see, if you don't know what you're looking at, you probably just pass it by. But most of them have these little bulletproof looking toppers on the back or actually like camper shell. And that's where they'll have all their crime scene equipment, all their weapons and different things like that. Right now we're issued 2 different guns. It depends on when you came out of patrol school or what you want now, but we carry the SIG 226 and 357 SIG, and we also issued the SIG P320, which is, I guess, a sidearm essentially from the military now, the M17, I think is what it's called. Anyway, we're issued 223s. Right now we're pushing out daily defense rifles, and then we've got 308s that are from the RU and also H&K. Other crime scene equipment that were issued, if you looked in one of those beds of our working Rangers, they've got anything from lifting prints to photography, different lenses, anything that you could use, body bags, gloves, booties, anything to work a scene. And they've also got WMD protective gear. I had mine in my truck, but I haven't seen it in years. We've got all kinds of different things to offer. So like I said before, a lot of these agencies, when I was a working ranger before I promoted, some of the agencies I would go and they wouldn't have a detective or two. And so they would jump in the truck with me, and in the middle of the night, we'd go off looking for a murder suspect or a kidnapped victim or what have you. And we're working computers, we're working phones, we're working on the technology to try to recover the victims and or find the suspects. And so we've got specialized training. We've got profilers. I think Dean Fant is one of our guys at Company C. He works a lot with FBI doing that. We've got forensic hypnosis. We're not doing much of that anymore. We've got a bunch of crime scene specialists, people that specialize in blood stain, blood spatter. We've got a bunch of Leica scan stations out now. So when we had the Dallas 5 officers shot downtown Dallas, we had every operator, I think, in the state that deployed with their respective scanners. So we run a Leica scan station now. And this scanner is so much better than the old school one that you saw. You're actually able to document the skyscrapers so accurately that you can testify with. And so some of the crime scene pictures that you saw, the photographs that were actually taken out there of the evidence before we collect that, we're able to import those photographs into that scan station. So when you go to testify before a grand jury or a jury, they're able to see it on the computer and just pan around and look as if they were actually out there with you. And so a lot of times when you go testify to folks, everybody watches these police shows and, they get their DNA back in an episode. That's not the way things work. And so a lot of times when you go to testify, the first bit is to try to disprove what everybody thinks they already know. And so we've got a gentleman that works out of the Austin area that does all of our analyzing the computers or cell phones. A lot of times when these crimes are committed, they store data. And so when we recover stuff like that, we can send it to him and then have it download it. We've also got the crime scene team that I was on. So even though we're here in Company B, anytime something bad happens in the state, those teams will be deployed whether it's the shooting in El Paso at the Walmart, or Sutherland Springs, or the gang shooting in Waco, and we'll come there in droves to work those massive scenes to get those documented.
Oh.
This is an actual picture from these, the fairgrounds over in Dallas, and that little, his right hand, that's a 37 Mike grenade launcher that may or may not still be in the closet there in Company B headquarters where it's at off the Beltline. And I believe that came out during the riots and rallies in Dallas not too long ago.
I love that one.
So when you get into the Rangers, a lot of those standard guns that you're issued, if you qualify with something, a lot of people refer to them as barbecue guns or something like that. The Ranger gun typically in the last probably 50, 60 years at least has been the 1911. These are a couple of mine here. As long as you can qualify with it, you can carry it. That top one's a 45 and that bottom one's a 36. Those grips on the bottom that were actually made by an inmate in a Texas prison. Available resources. We were talking about different types of agencies that we're working for throughout the state, depending on where they are, what kind of assets they've got. That's one of the great things about the Ranger Division. It's a very small group of individuals. However, we've got access to all
$100
stuff that can further an investigation.
Stamps that are
essentially, you know, be the
So I want to talk to you about the list.
Get it from where it's at to where
We want to.
So we got
We wanna do
access to our
150?
Texas Highway Patrol if we need to go out there and
I think we did
do searching and
175.
block off cordon off areas. We've also got undercover agents, like I talked about when I was in gangs and narcotics, that we can sit in there and do stings or what have you with. We've got polygraph services. They're out of Garland. We've got 2 guys there. We're doing tactical polygraphs a lot now. So a lot of times, you know, you've heard the, I guess, verbiage like strike while the iron's hot. And so a lot of times you can throw these polygraphers in there with you. And then once you deploy out, if you're able to locate your suspect, you can ask them if they want to, you know, take a polygraph at that point in time. And if they say yes, then you can put them on the box right then. We've also got different types of planes and also helicopters. Anytime there's a manhunt, we just had one out of Fannin County that ended yesterday. And basically we're able to deploy those assets if the weather's good enough to get in the air and able, you know, to read these signatures and stuff like that. And then some of the smaller airplanes that we've got, we're able to get up and get down low enough, though we can turn them on their side and do aerial photographs from the sky. We've got crime labs that are strategically placed across the state. So when we go out there and we collect that evidence, or another agency collects that evidence, they're able to submit it to the department for testing and analysis. And then in turn, they'll get a reading or some kind of documentation on exactly what it is or what they found. We've got forensic hypnosis. We've got 2 full-time SWAT teams. The SRTs are full now, which is the Special Operations SWAT team. There's 6 of those. They're now full-time. There's CNU, which is our crisis negotiators, which is what I'm over now. Anytime there's a barricade or some kind of situation where there's victims or anything that's locked inside of a structure, or even if the suspect's in there by themselves, or if they're not a suspect, sometimes if they're suicidal, different qualifications there, but we'll send those negotiators out and try to get them out and find a peaceful resolution. So it's kind of a 2-pronged thing. So when we do these major call-outs, there's a tactical side, which is the SWAT SRT side. They're working their side, and then the CNU is going to be working the other. At the end of the day, you want everything to end peacefully. Sometimes it just doesn't work that way. And a lot of times when you're out there conducting these types of operation, it's a push and pull by both sides to end up having a peaceful outcome. And we've also got dive teams across the state. So anytime that there's any kind of evidence that may have been thrown off in the water, whether it's a car, you know, pushed off in the lake, or somebody threw a pistol over a bridge, we'll have those guys go out and search for it. We've also got forensic sketch artists. One of the most amazing people I've ever seen, George, he's in Austin. And he's done several for me and some of my local agencies back when I was a working ranger. And it's craziest thing, when I'm conducting interviews, I'm looking for evidence, where to go find it, how to disprove something or how to prove something. And he's there basically doing the same thing, but talking about characteristics of what these folks look like. And a lot of times when he's talking, he never looks down. He's just sitting there drawing and talking. And some of his outcomes are crazy. I'll show you a picture. So this is a SRT-1. And back at that time, I was the commander or project manager over that team. There was around 15 operators. That's me on the right. And we had 2 armored vehicles. That's Big Dave on the bottom left. You see him in a couple of pictures. Around 15 operators. I think there were 3 medics, 4 snipers. And we had this piece of armor, which is basically a Bearcat. It's just not as dependable. It's called a Cyclone. And then we had another MRAP, which is a military vehicle that we keep out in East Texas. Just it's 6-wheel drive. It's so big you can't run it down the streets. But that's kind of what that looks like. So this is, I believe it's one of George's sketches that he did. I think it was on my old boss's case out of Kaufman County. And basically, there was a crime committed. He was brought in out of Austin. He did what he does. He starts doing his interview, starts drawing, and shortly after that, they run the left picture on the news, and then the phone started ringing. They're like, I know exactly who that is. And that was that gentleman right there. So mixture of old and new, the traditions, the Cinco Peso badge. So all of the Ranger badges are made out of Cinco Peso. So if you look at mine, it's the Cinco Peso coin that has been polished out, domed out on the front, and you can still see the ridges in the coin on the backside. And if you turn it over, you can see the Mexican eagle with a snake in its mouth. We only use the 47 and 48 model peso because those 2 years have the highest concentration of silver. So the double rig here is a gun belt, and you saw a lot of those pictures in the little presentation that was set to music before. And basically that's a trouser belt, and then it's a gun belt on the outside that'll carry all your extra magazines and bullets, your handgun, and then your handcuffs. Some of the crime fighting equipment that we have now is state of the art. DNA we talked about, cell phones and computers. Anytime one of these crimes is committed, there's typically phones, computers, or whatever tied into it for research or location information or what have you. And DNA has come so far. We've solved so many cold case homicides and sexual assaults just because the advancement in DNA. And so we've been able to, I had one of my rangers here before I transferred, actually got with a company and was able to draw DNA out of a fence, like a picket fence. And it looks like a vacuum. And anyway, they're all the familial DNA stuff that they're doing now. Anytime that you get some kind of lead, they're running down family members to test. And a lot of times, a lot of that stuff is very similar, and that's how they're documenting who their suspects are. So this is that Cinco Peso. This is the back of it that we just talked about. A lot of the Ranger captains and above, they'll have the 50 peso, which is a little bit smaller coin, but it's solid gold. And the last time I checked, that little coin was like $2,200 just because of the weight of gold. And then obviously that's been a tradition for a long time. So here's some of the badges throughout time, kind of the evolution of that. And that one in the center is one of our more modern badges. So the part of the American pop culture, popular culture, we've got a lot of different shows, books, Lonesome Dove, Walker, Texas Ranger. A lot of times people are serious as they can be when you get down in some of these areas. They'll think I work with the guy. Please tell him hi. It's almost offensive until you figure out they're being serious. That's me as a little boy, kind of doing some of that same stuff. And so we talked about the museum there in Waco. If you get a chance to go there, please do. they've got so much history there. Two of the most popular rangers, probably the last 100 years, Manuel T. Gonzalez and then Frank Hammer. Hammer's the one that they brought out of retirement to go find Bonnie and Clyde. And the guns that came out of that Bonnie and Clyde car in Louisiana are in that museum there. So this is when I promoted in 13. This was all the Rangers in Company B. Everybody's always asking. Laura's on the bottom right. She's my ranger in Hunt County. She's one of the most impressive people I know. She was a professor, a linebacker coach, a trooper, a highway patrol sergeant, a CID investigator, and made ranger. She's been a ranger 16 years now, I believe. And she teaches for FBI, all kinds of different agencies, and she's one of our crime scene gurus. And then you see Big Dave there in the center, and the gentleman to his right is 6'10". He's huge. So this is one of the pictures that y'all saw. Let's see. And anyway, I'll reserve whatever rest of the time that we have for questions. I hope it was a decent rundown. I was told I didn't have much time, so I cut a lot of it out. And so if I skipped over anything, or if I can further document or tell you, answer any questions or what have you, I will. Go ahead.
Was there anything for the younger cadets here, was there anything that you did around their age that helped you lead you into their career that you do now?
Stay out of trouble. Anymore, you know, when we talked about phones and videos and stuff, everything goes viral. But just staying out of trouble, and even if you don't know exactly what you're talking, you don't know exactly what you want to do yet. As long as you're making the right decisions and making decent grades and listening to good counsel, that would be my best piece of advice. Because once you start making poor decisions, they start affecting the rest of your life, and sometimes it's hard to get back to where you would be because you're no longer essentially qualified to get there.
Are the Rangers the first call to duty for these amber alerts?
Not always, but yes. So a lot of times when we get these calls, a lot of the work that we get come from the police departments and the county sheriff's offices. So a lot of times if somebody's called in to 911, they'll call in a kidnapping or what have you, and that's kind of what starts the ball rolling. And so I told you that most ranger work is all violent crime. And if the ranger's doing what he's supposed to be doing or she's supposed to be doing in that area, as soon as that call is made and it's forwarded to some detective, the ranger should be getting a call at that point in time. And now we start cooking, we start going to work, and we start pushing out those alerts to Austin. We've got a fusion center, we've got analysts that are local to us, and we've got a ranger specific analyst in Austin. And once we start pushing out that information, as long as it meets the right requirements, that's when you'll start seeing those alerts, the silver alerts, the amber alerts, and that brings awareness to everybody and makes essentially everybody a potential witness when you start looking for cars and suspects or what have you, and that's kind of what basically gets the ball rolling. Yes, sir.
So what triggers Texas Ranger involvement into allegations of corruption, that type of thing?
So the big guy, Dave, that was kind of his expertise, is public corruption. So I rather work violent crime myself, but any type of elected official or government head, whether it's a police chief, a fire chief, anybody that's elected will basically be under that purview, I guess. And so any allegation that's brought to us about corruption, we'll have to vet. So basically, when we have somebody call in and essentially with a complaint, whether it goes to Austin or whether it comes to each respective office, we'll reach out to that local district attorney's office, and they'll essentially have to review the complaint and forward it to us. And we do that for a reason, because if the local DA's office is not interested in prosecuting it or won't, there's no reason for us to investigate it. And so a lot of times if they're conflicted because they're too close to it, or they know this individual, what have you, they'll refer it to a local district attorney's office for possible prosecutorial purposes. And so once we find out that, hey, look, they'll send a letter to my boss and say, look, if there's any violation of Texas state law, we promised or whatever to prosecute this to the fullest extent of the law. They'll send that letter to my boss, and that's kind of what gets the ball rolling there. Then we'll send it out to one of our rangers, and that ranger will conduct basically a little snippet of an investigation just to kind of see if the facts match or not. And then he will submit, or she will submit a letter to our major saying, hey, I think this is worth looking into, or this is not accurate, and it doesn't meet that cutoff or whatever. And essentially, it's signed off on the chief, and then they go after it.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
We've been hearing a lot about coins and of Rotarians, and it's also how you distinguish if you're a true Texas Ranger, it seems like, right? Having a peso coin. Well, Rotarians, we have our own coin, and it's our 4-way test coin. And because of all you do, we wanted to present you with that. And the 4-way, I don't know if you're familiar with the Rotary 4-way test, and all Rotarians are members, we abide by those rules. So we'll recite it as a group here in a minute, but I just want to say what the coin says. The 4-way test of the things we think, say, or do is the truth. Is it fair to all concerned? Would it build goodwill and better friendships? And would it be beneficial to all concerned? And it seems like you do a great job of holding that off for our community. So I'll give you this. And whenever you speak to a Rotarian, that's the value that we have. And we're people service of themselves. So thank you for being here today. We appreciate all you do. One of the cadets that's here from the Irving High School ROTC. As you guys know, we produced the Irving Marathon Running Series, and over the last, I'd say like 4 or 5 events, there's been a troop of 60 to 80, sometimes 100 cadets that come and volunteer. And Cadet Kavitia, did I say it right? She shows up sometimes at 5 in the morning with a group of cadets, and they're all ready to go in their groups of sometimes 10, 14, 15. We have usually 6 water stations all throughout Las Colinas. They're ready to go, ready to do work, and because they get prepped by great leaders. So keep up the good work. I also wanted to point out that Judge Hubner is here. Great ways that he contributes to the community to help that there's preparation for youth is the Teen Court program at the Irving Court Department, if I'm correct, that allows high school and middle school students to enroll in the Teen Court program. Students, instead of paying for the fine, they do community service hours, and it doesn't go on the record. But teens get to be the judge. They get to be the prosecutor and the defense attorney. So for students that might want to go into that field, for the instructors here, it's a great way for them to get involved to get that. I happen to do 3 years of that through high school as well, and that's where I learned a lot of great skills. So. We also wanted to thank the Kettlebell Rangers that are ringing the bell this weekend. It should be a great weekend, so good luck with that. Any other announcements for the good of the club? All right, well, if you guys could please stand up. We're going to have Val lead us on the 4-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First,
is it the truth?
Second,
is it fair to all concerned?
third,
will it build goodwill and better friendships?
fourth,
will it be beneficial to all concerned?
This minute's adjourned. Thank you, guys.
All right.